Hello, good morning. How are you, students? Hope you all are doing very well. So, we are today gonna deal with the chapter 6, Angel in Disguise. So, the very meaning of angel, always done with optimism, positive, and all kind of vibes and energy. And what do you mean by disguise? Disguise means like to be hidden or not in a regular appearance. For example, a king disguised to be as a peasant. Actually, that's a king, but king dressed up in Nadavation. So, disguise means angel in disguise means an angel who came in Nada form. Let it be the form of a human, let it be the form of an animal or something. Or else, Nada meaning is like angel in disguise means an angel who is really hidden, not exposed to the outer world as such. So here, the angel is a little girl who is disabled. Alright, this is a pretty good story, and this story you could relate with in Malayalam movie, that's Agashadootam. That's why I have to tell you that this is a kind of sympathetic movie in which a single mother having 3 children, first one is an able boy and second one is a smart girl, but unfortunately third one is a girl. Her name is Maggie. And about her, she is having a spine injury and she is bedridden. She always needs help of someone to do her own chorus. And again, regarding her mother, she is not at all having a good reputation in that place. And one fine morning, she died. Till that moment, the villagers and the neighbors were having hatred towards their family. But after the death of a person, it's usual, if a person is still alive, nobody will look after, everybody will tell, oh, this is not a good person. But when a person dies, everything will change. Even if that is a cruel or crooked person, will say, oh my God, that person died. The same thing happened. When this lady died, the 3 children left abandoned and 2 people, that was, the first one was a farmer, he was ready to adopt John, the first child, and second one is Kate or Catty, and Alice, Mrs. Alice, a lady who was ready to adopt her also. So she could make her as a maid. But unfortunately, third one, she is a disabled one, and everybody claims her as a burden, and no one was ready to take her. But at last, she was yelling after the cremation and funeral ceremony, and she told Mr. Thompson, Joe Thompson, it's not told, she requested, at least take me, she cried. And he was a kind-hearted person, and what he did, he took her in the arms and took her into his home. But he was not having child, he and his wife, but his wife couldn't accept this girl at all of a sudden, because he told that it's only for a single night. After the single night, I'll take her to the poor house. At least in poor house she'll be treated in a good way, she'll be giving good food, sanitation, etc. She could do with her survival. There will be people to take care of her. And her wife, however, agreed. But this girl changed the life of that couple. What happened is that lady, the wife of Joe Thompson, was really rude enough because she was not having anyone to take care or love or because she was not a mother. But her feeling, a real feeling inside the mother came outside when Maggie was there, and later Maggie and she came to be a bonding and affectionate, and at last she told to her husband let she be here, and she didn't ask her husband to take her to the poor house. And at last this girl, she is a real angel. At first she was in a disguise, she changed her form. At last we understood angel is Maggie. So this is written by T.S. Eliot. Let's read about him. T.S. Eliot was a popular 19th century American writer whose story is written with compassion, sensitivity, articulate spread values and ideas that were associated with respectable middle-class life in America. In his story, An Angel in Disguise, T.S. Eliot described the transformative and restorative power of selfless love. So here, the main theme is the difference between selfish love versus selfless love. So there is a wide difference between selfish love and selfless love. What do you mean by selfish love? Selfish love means always like if I'm loving someone, I always think, oh my god, I need something back. And what do you mean by selfless love? If I'm loving someone, I think it's only my love. I don't want anything back. I don't want to gain something back. So that's the difference between selfish love and selfless love. In selfish love, always there is a condition. It's like a give and take policy. But in selfless love, there is no condition, there is no expectation. Joe Thompson, in his story An Angel in Disguise, T.S. Eliot described the transformative and restorative power of selfless love. It relays the advent of Maggie, a frail young orphan, into the life of wheelwright Joe Thompson, whose vinegar-tempered with wife Jay, and miraculous effect and child's presence has on women's character and happiness that she brings to her adoptive family. So we'll read. Eternal's vice and intemperance had done the miserable work. The dead mother lay cold and still amid her wretched children. She had fallen up the threshold of her own door in the drunken fit, died in the presence of her frightened little ones. Death touches the spring of her common humanity. These women had been despised, scoffed, and angrily denounced by nearly every man, woman, and child in the village. But now, as fact of her death was passed from lip to lip in the subdued tunes, pity to place of anger and sorrow of denouncing. See what happened earlier, they were not accepted, but now they are getting a sympathy and prettiness. Neighbors went hastily to the old tumble-down hut in which she had secured little more than a place of shelter from summer heats and winter cold, some with grave clothes for a decent intermittent of the body, and some with a food for their half-starving children. There in number 3 of these, first one was John, the oldest, a boy of 12, please underline, a stout, unable to earn his living with any farmer. Kate, between 10 and 11, was a bright and active girl, out of whom something clever might be made, if in good handle, but little poor Maggie, the youngest, was hopelessly diseased. First one was Jane, second one was Kate, and third one was Maggie. 2 years before, a fall from the window had injured her spine, and she had not been able to leave her bed since, except when lifted in the arms of her mother. What is to be done with the children? Everyone is asking, what's to be done with the children? So a committee was formed and see, she had to go there and she has to come here. This happened when somebody is not having anyone, relatives are like left alone. Some committees will happen and nothing will take ultimately a good decision. That was a chief question now. The dead mother would go underground and be forever beyond all care of concern of villagers. But the children must not be left starved. After considering the matter and taking all with the wife, Farm Jones said that he would take John. Farm Jones was ready to take John. By him, please turn the page. Now the mother was set out of the way. Mrs. Ellis, who had been looking out of the bound girl, concluded that it would be charitable her in to make the choice of Katy, even though she was too young to much of her several years. So, first one is John. John was taken by whom? A farmer, and his name was John. Second one was Kate. Kate was taken by Mrs. Ellis, and third one was Maggie. I could not do much better, I know, Mrs. Ellis, but as No one seems inclined to talk her. I must add the former sense of duty, except to have trouble with the child, for she is an undisciplined thing, used to have in her own way. Actually, this Kate is a girl, she is really smart and she does everything in her own way. And Mrs. Ailey considered this as like a charity. It's not a charity. She'll be taking her as her maid. But no one said, I'll take Maggie. Why? What's the reason? You know. Pitying glances were cast on her wan and wasted form and thoughts were troubled on her account. Mother's broadcast of garments and reviewing her soiled and rag clothes dressed her in a clean attire. The sad eyes on the patient face of the little one touched many hearts and even knocked on them for entrance, but none opened to take her. Who wanted a bedridden child? See, it's happened. It's easy today. Oh my God, it's a sad situation. And while coming to the actual situation, nobody will be really ready to take the responsibility. It's okay for to sympathize. Oh my God, it's really sad, or it's such a pitiful thing. But nobody will take the responsibility. Take her to the poor house. Again, there are people to give suggestion and advices. Said a rough man of whom the question, what's to be done with Maggie asked. Nobody is going to be bothered with her. The poor house is a sad place for sick and helpless child. You know what will be the condition of an orphan. If no one is there, at least relatives or no one is to take her. It's really hard enough to think. For your child or mine, said the other lightly speaking, but for this brat it will be prove a blessed change. She'll be kept clean, please underline. Have healthy food and be doctored, which is more than can be said for a past condition. There was a reason in that, but still it didn't satisfy. The day following the day of death was made the day of burial. A few neighbors were at the miserable hovel, but none followed the dead cart. That means nobody was considered or nobody have any kind of love or compassion towards that lady. Bore unhonored hovel, but none follow the cart as it bore the unhonored remain to the pauper grave. Farmer Jones, after the coffin was taken, placed John in his wagon and drove away. That's why that has done with the part. Mrs. Ailey spoke to Kate with a hurried air. Bid your sister goodbye. Tell goodbye to your sister and come. Draw the tearful children apart her, scarcely their lips had touched at this coping farewell. Hastily others went out, some glancing at Maggie, and some resolutely refraining from a look, until all had gone. She was alone. Just beyond the threshold, Joe Thompson the rewrite pose and sent to the blacksmith's wife, who was hastening off with the rest. It's a cruel thing to leave her so. Then take her to the poor house. She'll have to her. Answered the blacksmith's wife, please underline, springing away and leaving Joe behind. For a little, while the man stood with a puzzled air. Puzzle means confused. Then he turned back and went to the hovel again. Maggie, with a painful effort, had raised herself to the upright position and was sitting on the bed, straining her eyes upon the door of which all had just departed. A vague terror had come into her white face. Oh, Mr. Thompson, she cried, catching her suspended breath. Don't leave me here alone. How sad is it? Thou rough in exterior. See, Johnson, by exterior appearance, looked really rough enough. The real right had a heart. It was very tender in some places. He is having a soft corner. He liked the children, was pleased to have them come into the shop, where sleds and wagons were made on meander for the villages, lad without a draft on a hoarder sixpence. No, dear, he answered in a kind voice, going to the bed and stooping down over the children. You shan't be left here alone. Then he wrapped her with the gentleman's almost every man in a clean bedclothes which some neighbor had brought, and lifting her in the strong arms, bore her out in the air and across a field that lay between a hovel and his own. So he took her. See what's happened next. Now Joe Thompson's wife, who happened to childless, was not a woman of saintly temper nor much given to self-denial for others' good, and Joe had a well-grounded doubt touching the manner of greeting he should receive on his arrival. So he is doubtful whether she'll receive them with a smile or with a kind of hatredness. Thompson saw us approaching from the window with the ruffling feathers met with a few paces from the door. As he opened the garden gate, came in. He bore a precious burden and he felt it to be so. As his arms held the sick child to his breast, a spear of tenderness went out from her and penetrated. By catching her, some kind of bond created. He is having a love towards her as is a child is man. A bond has already coded itself around the both and love was springing into life. What have you there? Sharply questioned Mr. Thompson. Joe felt the child start shrink against him. He did not reply except by look, pleading and cautionary, that's it. Wait a moment for explanation and be gentle. And passing in carried Maggie to a small chamber on the first floor and laid her on the bed. So she is settled. Then stepping back and he shut the door and stood face to face with Vinegar Tempered wife. Vinegar Tempered when she is really angered in the passageway outside. You haven't brought home that sick brat. It's not fair to bring her. Anger and astonishment were in the tones of Mrs. Joe Thompson. Her face was in flames, she was red. I think women's hurt are sometimes very hard. It's not okay to think that women are always tend to be soft. And said Joe, usually Joe Thompson got out his wife's way or kept rigid silently and non-combative. Combat means to fight. Non-combative means not to fight. When she fired up any subject, it was some surprise for that she now encountered a firmly set countenance and resolute pair of eyes. Women's hurt are not half so hard as men's. Joe said by a quick intuition that his resolute bearing had impressed his wife, and he answered quickly with a real indignation, be that it may. Every woman at the funeral turned her eyes steadily from the sick child's face, and when the cart went off with the dead mother, hurried away and left alone the old hut with the son or a. He said that every woman is not like told to be cool or tender or with love or compassion. At the time of funeral cremation, every woman was looking at this like dead body and this child, and after the funeral went away. They doesn't have any kind of so-called compassion or love. Where were John and Kate? Asked Mrs. Thompson. Farmer John tossed John into wagon and drove. Katie went home with Mrs. Ellis, but nobody wanted the poor sick one. Send her to the poor house was a cry. And why didn't you let her go then? Why do you bring here? Again the question is, it's okay for her to ask. She can't walk to the poor house, said Joe. Somebody's arm must carry her, and mine are strong enough for that. She is really incapable like mobility, or she is incapable to walk. So somebody has to take her. Then why did you keep one? Why did you keep stop here? Demanded them. Because I'm not apt to go on the fool's errand. The guardians must first be seen and permit obtained. See, it's not that easy. You don't know the procedure. There are some procedures for it. There was no gainsaying that. When will you see the guardian? So she is desperate and she don't want that girl to be in her house. Tomorrow. Why put it up till tomorrow? I don't know. Why put it up tomorrow? Get once for the permit and get the whole thing off your hands tonight. I don't want her to see. Jane, said the wheelwright with an impressive tone, great subdued his wife. I read in Bible sometimes and find much said about the little children. How the Savior rebuked the disciples who would not, please turn the page, receive, how he took them in the arms and blessed them, and how he said that whoever gave them even a cup of cold water should not go unrewarded. So this is a quote from Bible in which he is telling that in Bible it's telling if somebody is not showing consideration or compassion for the little children, they will be punished, and somebody is ready to give them at least a cup of cold water, they will be rewarded. Now it's a small thing for us to keep the poor motherless little for single night. Please underline, he'll be uttering the same thing for a long time. Her for a single night, to make her comfortable for a single night. See, 3 times already. The voice of the strong rough man shook and he turned his head away so that the moisture in his eyes might not be seen. Moisture means he is like actually crying. He is really tender inside. Mrs. Thompson did not answer, but a soft feeling crept into her. This actually melts her inner feelings. Look at her kindly, Jane. Speak her kindly, said Joe. Think of her dead mother and loneliness, the pain, sorrow that must be on all her coming life. The softness of his heart gave unwanted eloquence to his lips. Mrs. Thompson did not reply, but presently turned toward a little chamber where her husband had deposited Maggie, and pushing open the door went quietly in Joe. Joe did not follow. He saw that the state had changed, so she is slowly changing, and felt that it would be best to leave her alone with the child. So he went to his shop, which stood her near the house, and worked until the dusk evening released him from labor. A light shining through the little chamber windows was first object that attracted Joe's attention. On turning towards the house, it was a good omen. The path led him by windows, and when opposite, he could not help pausing to look in. It was now dark enough outside to screen him observation. Maggie lay a little raised on the pillow, with the lamp shining full upon her face. Mrs. Thompson was sitting by the bed talking to the child, but her back was towards the window, so that her countenance was not seen. From Maggie's face, therefore, Joe must read the character of her intercourse. We'll understand while talking to someone. He saw that her eyes were intensely fixed upon his wife, that now and then a few words come in the answer from her lips, that her expression was sad and tender. Definitely she'll be sad because her mother died and her siblings went off. But he saw nothing of bitterness or pain. A deep drawn breath was followed by a relief, as weight lifted itself from his heart. On entering, Joe did not go immediately to the little chamber. His heavy tread upon the kitchen brought his wife somewhat hurriedly from the room where she had been with Maggie. Joe thought it's best to refer the child not to manifest any concern to regard. So you have to ask her, how soon will be supper ready? He asked. He came back and he want to test his wife whether they are okay. So he don't want to ask her like, are you okay with Maggie? Instead of that, he asked, how soon will supper will be ready? Right soon, answered Mrs. Thompson, beginning to bustle about. There was no asperity in her voice. After washing from his hands and face the dust and soil of work, Joe left the kitchen and went to the little bedroom. A pair of large bright eyes looked up from the snow bed, looked him tenderly, gratefully, pleadingly. Such an innocent girl. How his heart swelled in his bosom. With what a quicker motion came the heartbeats. Joe sat down and for the first time, examining the thin frame carefully under the lamplight, so that it was an attractive face, full of childless sweetness which suffering had not been able to obliterate. Your name is Maggie, he said as he sat down and took soft little hands in his. Yes, sir. Her voice struck a chord quarrel in a long strain of music. Have you been sick long? Yes, sir. What a sweet patient was in the tone. Has the doctor been? Listen, been to see you. He used to come, but not lately. No, sir. Have you any pain? Sometimes, but no. When you had pain? This morning my side ached, my back hurt when you carried. So when he carried, she was having pain. It hurts you to be lifted or moved about? Yes, sir. You said doesn't ache now. No, sir. Does it ache a great deal? Yes, sir, but it hasn't ached any since I have been on the soft bed. That means she is from a poor family, and for the lifetime she will be lying in a soft bed, and now she is okay. So she was not getting any proper treatment. That's why she is being an disabled child. Oh yes, sir, so good. What's a satisfaction mingled with gratitude in her voice. Supper is ready, Mrs. Thompson, looking into the room a little afterwards. Joe glanced from his wife's face at Maggie. She understood him and answered, she can wait until we are done. Then I'll bring her something to eat. See, we'll have food. Later we'll give to her. There was an effort in indifference on the Mrs. Thompson, but her husband had seen her through the windows and understood that the coldness was assumed. Coldness means emotionless and her indifferent feeling. We studied the word cold. Cold has been different meaning. Joe waited, and after sitting down to the table for his wife to introduce the subject uppermost in both of their thought, but she kept silent on the for many minutes and maintained like a reserve. At last she said, he wanted her to start a conversation. What are you going to do with this child? I thought you understood me that she was to go to poorhouse, replied Joe, as if surprised her question. Mrs. Thompson looked rather strangely at husband for a sonic moment and then dropped her eyes. The subject was not again referred to during the meal. Again that was not referred. At its close, Mrs. Thompson toasted a slice of bread and softened with the milk and butter, adding to the cup of tea, and she took them into Maggie and she held small waiter on which she placed them, while the hungry child ate with every sign of pleasure. For everything that was a new experience for Joe Thompson and his wife. Is it good? Asked Mrs. Thompson, seeing what a keen relish the food was taken. The child paused with a cup in her hand and answered with a look of gratitude that awoke to new life all human feeling which had been slumbering in the heart of a half score of years. We'll keep her a day or two longer. She is so weak and helpless. Please underline these lines. We'll keep her a day or two longer. She is so weak and helpless means now her heart is melting. She is having compassion to the child. She is changing, said Mrs. Thompson in an answer to the husband's remark, breakfast time on next morning, that he must step down and see guardians of poor about Maggie. She'll be so much in your way, said Joe. I shall make that for a day or two, poor thing. Joe did not see guardians for the poor on that day, or next nor the day following. It happened every day he'll go and he won't see the guardian. In fact, he never saw them at Maggie's account for in less than a week. Mrs. Joe Thompson would as soon as leave thought of taking up her on the abode in the almshouse as sending Maggie there. What a life and blessing did the sick and helpless child bring to the home of Joe Thompson. The poor wheelwright. It had been dark and cold and miserable there for a long time, just because his wife had nothing to like. Actually, if we are not having anyone to talk, and if we are in a house with all kind of amenities like facilities, and if you're having no one to talk, and if you are left alone, soon our character will be changing. The same thing has happened to Joe Thompson's wife also. Actually, she is not a rude girl. She became because she is not having anybody to talk and she is not having a child also. So after the arrival of Maggie, the situation changes. It's just because his wife had nothing to love or care of herself. So she became sore, irritable, ill-tempered and self-afflicting dissolution of her woman's nature. Now the sweetness of the sick child looking over to her in love, patient gratitude was as honey to her soul. She carried her in her heart as well as in her arms, and precious burden. Here it's a use of her, what is like, we can say, precious burden. Do you think a burden can be precious, or something a precious thing can be a burden? Of course. Earlier it was a burden, later it became precious, because all of their happiness is like encircled with that girl. Now the sweetness of sick child looking over in her love and patience and gratitude was a honey to her soul. She carried her in her heart as well as in her arms. Precious burden, please underline. As for Joe Thompson, there was not a man in all neighborhood who drank daily for more precious wine of life that means he is happy than anyone in his neighbors. An angel had come to his house disguised as sick. Actually, angel came to the life. Angel disguised as sick means it is in the form of a sick child, helpless, miserable child, and filled in dreary chambers in the sunshine with all kind of love. So this is all about the chapter, such a good chapter with a kind of love, compassion and tender and all kind of the feeling. So please take your workbook and we'll discuss about the theme. We already discussed like difference between selfish and selfless love, and love was a redeemer, because everything is like connected with the love, and you have to write See the characterization of Maggie, Joe Thompson and Jane Thompson, and you are having an assignment. So soon after completing this chapter, you will be having a test paper on this chapter on coming Wednesday. 7:30. Okay, Wednesday 7:30 you will be having a test paper. If this is uploaded on Tuesday, you will be having a test paper on Wednesday, and this is uploaded on Wednesday, you will be having a test paper on Thursday. Okay, it's according to the uploading. So we'll do one thing. We'll just discuss the question answers. Before that, the style is like it's a third person narration. You know what is third person narration? And again, there is an irony. What's an irony? Joe Thompson was a kind-hearted man who took Maggie's home despite the fear that his wife would not accept her. After initial inhibition, Mrs. Jane Thompson was touched by Maggie's innocence. Gradually, Jane grew fond of Maggie. She found a new meaning to her life. So Maggie was regarded by everyone. Nobody wants her. Later, she became the light of that family. And a rhetorical device is used in the story. Metaphor, see in the things, white face, to show Maggie's inner condition. Whiteness is always considered to be pale or something. Pity took the place of anger, show the feelings of people to her. He wrapped her with a gentleness almost like a woman, to show that Mr. Thompson, in spite of being a man, can take the tender parental feelings like that of a mother. Personification, a few words came, a soft feeling crept. Oxymoron, a figure of speech in which have opposites of different meaning. Death touches the spring of our common humanity. Opposite, exactly. Death is something the ending of life. Spring is like the introduction or the beginning of a life. She carried her in the heart as well as in her arms like a precious burden. In above sentence, precious burden is an example of oxymoron in which has been used for Maggie. Jane initially considers Maggie as a burden. Jane is wife of Joe Thompson. Later, it became different. That burden became precious. And repetition, I told you, single night, single night. Inversion, the author has used inversion. It's called anostrophe. Inversion technique is known as anostrophe, the reversal of the normal order. Polysyndeton. Polysyndeton is a stylist device in several coordinating conjunctions, and, nor, but. These are used here. Onomatopoeia, beginning to bustle sounds. Tone of the story, initially it was sad, melancholic, but ending was like quite positive enough. Language, it's like varied vocabularies have been used, like idle, voice, high flow. So please look these things. Ambiguous, angel in disguise, critical appreciation. Please do read it. So we'll discuss the question answers. Read the extract given below and answer the questions. The first extract, the death touches. How did the women die? Give the meaning of death touches the spring of our common humanity. How did the women die? Women dies. How did the women die? She was having a severe disease and she died because of that. Give the meaning of death touches the springs of humanity. Earlier the woman was not accepted by anyone. Later, after her death, everyone changed their concept. What kind of relation did women have with others? Nobody was liking her. It's not a good relation. Why do you think it was? Because no one was like going behind of her funeral or things or something. What changes occurred in the behavior of Naiba after women's death? Naibas changed after women's death. They were having a sympathy at least to the 3 children. What kind of living condition were women? It's really hard enough to explain because it was such a poor condition in which they describe about a poor hut and all. What was the perspective of future children after the death of their mother? End of this story surrounded with the love. Actually, the 2 children who was really able was taken by 2 selfish people. But a selfless man like Joe Thompson was ready to take a disabled child. The prospect of love, that's the difference between selfish love and selfless love. Second extract, pitying glances. Who glanced with pity? Obviously the neighbors and the villagers. Why? Because they were having a feeling that after the death of the mother, what will be the condition of children? At least the 2 were taken by the wealthiest team, but the disabled was not ready to taken by anyone. Give the meaning her van and wasted form. Her van and wasted form means like her agonies and her pain. You could see here her van and her wasted form in this areas. So please have a look to page number 127. Even knocked at them for the entrance. Even knocked at them for the entrance means like it was like seeking for help, but none of them accepted her. Whom? Maggie. Which incident made child bedridden? She was having an injury from like climbing while climbing from the window. Why did the mothers bring cast of the garment for Maggie? Because she need always support of somebody. She is really bedridden. Which shelter was suggested by one of the neighbors for the bedridden? Poor house, because at least in poor house she will be given proper shelter, food and taken care of by somebody authorities. What's the role of what role does child play in life of Joe Thompson and Jane Thompson? See, in the life of Joe Thompson and Jane Thompson, she plays the role of an angel. Earlier their life was not having a meaning because they were not having a child and they didn't have anything to think of. But now they are having a girl, they are having a child, and their thoughts and their life is all encircled with this girl, and she is really the light of their family. It's really cruel thing to leave her so. Who are having conversation about the extract? Blacksmith and Mr. Johnson, Joe Thompson. Why was Maggie's effort to raise herself painful? Because like she is bedridden and already she is having sad because her mother died and all her siblings were taken by other group and she is alone. First one is all about loneliness, second one she is having pain. What thought terrified Maggie? Why did she exclaim? Because she requested by crying to Mr. Johnson that don't leave me alone because I am like alone. Why do you think the man stood with a puzzle there? He is really confused. Why do you think so? Because of his wife's reaction. Why did he do when he went into the hovel? He went to the hovel and he take the girl in his arms and take her to the home. What kind of man was Mr. Johnson? Like by appearance he is a stout and he is a hard man, but inside he is tender, like soft man. Give reason to justify, because when others were telling that who will take her, everybody was telling who will take her, who will take her. At last he was really happy to take her. Mrs. Thompson saw his approaching window. Why? Whom did Mrs. Thompson see approaching? Like Mrs. Thompson saw her husband with that girl. What precious burden was carrying? Why was his burden precious? Why do you think so? It's a precious burden. It's a girl, it's an innocent girl, homeless girl, abandoned by everyone. What did Mr. Thompson ask her husband? How did John react? She reacted in such with anger, and she told that it was really okay for you to leave her in a poor house. Why do you take her to it's not fair to take her into a home. Describe Joe Thompson's behavior since the day he brought the sick child home. Joe Thompson's behavior. He was really happy and he took care of her, and he really made an attempt to convince his wife. What reason did Joe Thompson give to wife for bringing child home? What did reveal about Joe Thompson? He is a spiritual person. He told about a Bible context, and he told that Jesus Christ once told that any from his disciple is giving little water for poor children, they will be rewarded, and somebody who is really abandoning these little children, they will be really punished. So this thing really lightened her thought, and she thought that yeah, I have to look after this child at least for a single night. What was the reaction of Mrs. Thompson when the sick child was brought in? How did her attitude change? What do you think brought her changes? See, she is a childless woman and it's not easy to convince her. First of all, she thought it was a burden because it's like, what I can say, it's a disabled child and it's not easy to accept. And second one, that the mother of the child was not having a good name. And second thing is like Jane was living with her husband for a long time without accompanying anyone. So it's her first feeling getting into a child and how to behave with her. Later it changed because she became sympathetic and she understood the innocence of Maggie. And see the last extract. Mrs. Thompson did not reply, but presently turned toward. To whom did Mrs. Thompson not reply? Who was Maggie? What made Mrs. Thompson move towards Maggie? First, Mrs. Thompson didn't reply to her husband. Maggie was a poor girl who was abandoned by everyone after her mother died and was taken by Mr. Thompson. What made Mrs. Thompson move towards Maggie in the little chapter after getting the comment of her husband? The same story we told about them. Why did Joe leave his wife alone with the child? What did Joe see when he came back from home? See, he left his wife alone because he wanted to test whether she'll change or not. And when she came back, he witnesses a sudden change because she is really taking care of her in a very well way. Why did Joe consider light shining through the windows as a good omen? Why did Joe consider? Because it's a good omen. It's a sign of, like what he'll say, light, optimism and all. Describe briefly Joe Thompson characteristic trait referred. He is such a good man, and see the characteristics and just copy it to here. What did Joe gather from Maggie's facial expression? To what extent did relieve him? Why did relieve? See, while getting into Maggie's expression, what he understood is it's like she is such an innocent girl, and when she told him like she was aching when he carried him, that means she is really innocent. She don't know to hide it, and she even told that now she is okay and comfortable. She is lying in a soft bed. So this is an attitude of a very cold and what I can say very passive, and moreover she is innocent. She is like an angel and she brought all kind of light to their home. So that's all about the chapter. And do one thing, soon after getting into the chapter, the next day, the very next day, you'll be having a text paper, and be ready for it. Just a 15-mark test paper, and please write the question answers. So that's all. And even though you are having any doubts, be free enough to ask me. So that's all. Thank you. Have a good day.